Imagine a fleet, a colossal armada dwarfing anything Europe would even dream of for centuries, a maritime titan capable of circumnavigating the globe. Then, silence. Not a shattering defeat, not a catastrophic disaster, but a deliberate, calculated cessation. Why? Why would the Ming Dynasty, at the very zenith of its power, willingly dismantle its oceanic reach after Zheng He's voyages had charted the known world? Was it merely fiscal prudence that grounded these mighty ships? Or did something far more profound dictate this historic turning point, a calculated sacrifice of global dominance in favor of internal control? A decision that irrevocably altered the course of China, and perhaps, the world. If this mystery intrigues you, tell us what single word explains this vanishing act, in your view, in the comments below. And to unravel this enduring enigma completely, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more historical documentaries. And then, silence. In 1433, the great Admiral Zheng He drew his last breath, and with him, an era seemed to vanish. The Ming court, once ablaze with the fervor of exploration, grew cold. Gone were the colossal treasure fleets, those majestic symbols of China's global power, swallowed by the waves of history. The official explanation, the crippling cost, equivalent to years of the empire's grain tax, echoes, yet feels incomplete. Was mere fiscal prudence truly enough to sink such a grand endeavor? Emperor Zheng He, a Confucian scholar who followed the ambitious Yongle emperor, certainly prioritized internal matters. But the sheer suddenness of the shift remains deeply unsettling. Consider this: in 1477, Emperor Zheng He requested the records of Zheng He's voyages, only to allegedly find them hidden, or destroyed by the war minister, dismissed as nothing more than deceitful exaggerations. Even the Ming Shilu, the veritable records of the Ming, offer only fragmented, often contradictory accounts. Were they deliberately attempting to erase a chapter of their own history? While unofficial trade may have flickered on in Southeast Asia, the imperial mandate, that vital driving force, had vanished. Confucianism, a philosophy once embraced, later subtly weaponized. The Yongle emperor, architect of the Forbidden City and sponsor of Zheng He, masterfully wielded Confucian ideals to legitimize his reign after seizing the throne. But did the very principles he championed contain the seeds of the mighty fleet's demise? While Yongle saw undeniable value in showcasing Ming power abroad, a growing faction of Confucian scholars viewed such endeavors with increasing suspicion. These scholars, steeped in tradition, prioritized agriculture and internal stability above all else. Foreign trade, in their eyes, was a disruptive force, a dangerous distraction from the harmonious social order they sought to maintain. Merchants, rather unfairly, were seen as parasitic, their wealth derived not from honest labor, but from exploiting the needs of others. This suspicion intensified after the devastating Tumu Crisis of 1449. The capture of the Zheng Emperor by Mongol forces was seized upon as evidence of a weakened military, and the costly voyages of Zheng He became a convenient scapegoat. Grand Secretary Yang Rong, a powerful Confucian official, allegedly concealed records of the voyages, branding them as wasteful extravagance, a chilling act of historical revision. The Hongwu Emperor himself, founder of the Ming, had initially favored maritime trade, only to later enact maritime prohibition policies restricting private overseas ventures. Was this a precedent, a foreshadowing of the isolationist policies to come, a turn toward the land? The construction of the Forbidden City, completed in 1420, further cemented this inward focus. Resources and attention shifted decisively to the defense of the northern border, a tangible threat demanding immediate action. The ocean, once a gateway to the world, a source of wonder and potential, became a distant concern, a source of potential instability rather than opportunity. The grand narrative of exploration was slowly being rewritten, replaced by a doctrine of self-reliance and internal consolidation, a closing of doors. Power struggles and stark economic realities, these were the unseen currents that ultimately pulled the magnificent Ming fleet back to shore. The death of the Yongle Emperor in 1424 proved a pivotal moment, abruptly shifting the delicate balance of power. The Confucian bureaucracy, always wary of the eunuch's growing influence and the voyager's perceived extravagance, seized this opportunity to assert itself. What truly benefited the empire, they argued, wasn't exotic goods or fleeting diplomatic prestige, but the tangible promise of a well-irrigated rice field, a newly fortified section of the Great Wall, or a stable, reliable tax base. A single treasure ship, astronomical in its cost, could have funded the defense of a significant portion of that wall for years. They championed traditional values with renewed vigor: agriculture, internal trade, and an unwavering focus on domestic stability. Beyond the forbidden city's imposing walls, economic pressures relentlessly mounted. Maintaining tributary relationships with far-flung kingdoms, often requiring lavish gifts and displays of wealth, steadily drained the imperial treasury. The voyages themselves, ironically, disrupted domestic markets, diverting crucial resources and manpower away from essential agriculture. Then came the disastrous Tumu Crisis of 1449, a catastrophe that resonated throughout the empire. The Zheng He emperor's capture by the Mongols dealt a crippling blow to the eunuch faction, who had so fervently championed expansionist policies. The Confucian scholar officials, smelling blood, seized the opportunity, advocating for isolationism with renewed fervor. Even the relocation of the capital to Beijing, intended as a powerful symbol of imperial authority, consumed vast resources, further straining the Ming Dynasty's already burdened finances. In the tumultuous aftermath, the voyages became a potent symbol of wasteful excess and reckless ambition. Minister of War, Liu Daxia, infamously ordered the destruction of the official records of Zheng He's extraordinary expeditions, dismissing them as deceitful exaggerations of strange and fantastical things. He specifically targeted the detailed navigational charts and meticulously kept logs, effectively erasing the memory of these incredible voyages from official history. The immediate consequence was the systematic dismantling of the fleet. Zheng He sailors, once celebrated heroes of the empire, were callously left to fend for themselves, scattered and dispersed across the vast land, their invaluable skills and accumulated knowledge tragically forgotten. The grand ships, once symbols of Ming power and ingenuity, rotted in harbors, their massive timbers slowly returning to the earth, a silent, decaying testament to a glorious dream deliberately abandoned. But what if the dismantling of the fleet was just the visible crack in a dam holding back a far more troubling truth? Whispers began, chilling tales of a systematic erasure, the methodical destruction of Zheng He's meticulously kept records. The official Ming Shilu acknowledges the voyages, yes, but only offers a fractured narrative, a mosaic of detailed accounts jarringly interspersed with dismissive silences. In 1477, the Zheng He emperor, perhaps sensing the fading embers of a glorious past, sought to reignite the flame of exploration, requesting access to Zheng He's logs. The response, delivered by Minister of War Liu Daxia, was chilling: the voyages were a wasteful extravagance, and the records destroyed. Liu Daxia's alleged rationale: the expeditions drained the treasury, cost countless lives, and offered no tangible benefit, echoes the deep-seated aversion of the Confucian bureaucracy to maritime ambition. Yet, was it truly a complete annihilation? The history of Ming, compiled later, offers only a pale, ghostly shadow of the grand expeditions. Scholar Ray Huang suggests a deliberate resistance from within, a bureaucratic firewall erected against policies perceived as destabilizing. No original logbooks survive. No detailed nautical charts remain, save for the lone Lujigang Stele inscription. The subsequent shift towards isolationism, the suffocating maritime ban policy, casts a long, ominous shadow, hinting at a deliberate severing of ties. A calculated amnesia that would forever alter China's trajectory. Imagine, if you will, a world unwritten. A world where the immense Ming treasure fleet's vessels dwarfing the combined navies of Europe hadn't simply disappeared over the horizon. What if they had persisted, continuing their epic voyages not merely as ambassadors, but as the very builders of a new global tapestry? The fledgling European powers, their colonial ambitions still in their infancy, might never have risen to dominate vast swathes of the globe. The Americas, Africa, and Southeast Asia continents brimming with potential could have charted entirely different courses. Instead of the Westphalian system, forged in the crucible of European conflicts, might a global order have blossomed, one imbued with Chinese innovation and the principles of Confucian harmony and respectful tributary relationships. The abrupt cessation, therefore, was far more than a mere retreat. It was the surrendering of a possible destiny, a future where China, not Europe, stood as the architect of the modern world. Ultimately, the Ming Dynasty's decision to dismantle its treasure fleets represents a complex interplay of economic pressures, political maneuvering, and ideological shifts. The prioritization of internal stability and defense, particularly after the Tumu Crisis, led to the redirection of resources away from maritime exploration. While seemingly pragmatic in the short term, This choice arguably stunted China's potential for global dominance, paving the way for European powers to rise and reshape the world order. The burning of the maps, whether literal or metaphorical, symbolizes a closing of doors, a deliberate turning away from a future that might have been. The Ming Dynasty's abrupt halt to its voyages wasn't just a matter of cost, it was a deliberate choice to prioritize internal stability over global influence. Considering the long-term ramifications, do you believe this decision ultimately served or hindered China's development? And what lessons can we draw from this pivotal moment in history?